Developers calling for handouts. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I thought we'd have a look at this article from Domain because, well, it's looking at more developers calling for more government intervention, or essentially more handouts. Or as, others would call it stimulus. But it's just another form of redistribution of wealth in one way or another. So let's have a look. Developers call on the Victorian government for additional stimulus as projects progress across Australia. So the Victorians are feeling left out. Now, we've got other industries in Victoria that receive stimulus. One of them is the solar panel industry. And the problem is the stimulus or the incentive to getting solar panels put on your roof are so good that it creates a disincentive for you to not get the stimulus. So they've got a cap. There's only so many spots released every month. And you can apply for that spot, and then you essentially get a 50% discount on your solar panel installation. Now, what would you do if you missed out? Would you just say, you know what, I'll pay double what I expect to pay just because I'm a nice person? I'll pay double. No, you would not. You would be stupid to do that. You should get slapped in the face to do it. It would be even worse if you pay double and pay afterpay, but that's a whole other argument. So people wait. So once that quota is full, there's no more work, no more opportunities. So the market that was, advocating for this fantastic, sustainable, super good vote-winning policy has pretty much now limited the size of their industry. And, what do you think? Do you think that's a good thing? Do you want the government limiting the market that much, regulating the market that much, picking winners to that extent? I'm just waiting for them to you need to have a special government accreditation. Maybe this exists. I'm just making it up. Accreditation to actually get part of the stimulus package, so other installers can't get it unless they get this tick. They have to jump through the government hoops. Like here in Queensland, to get government work as an architect, I need to be a pre-qualified consultant, PQC rating. And I need to, submit my insurance and all this other stuff just to get on the list. If you don't have it, well, you can't get it. It's still hoops to jump through, everyone. It still affects the market. So let's have a look at this. A major Australian developer is calling on the Victorian government for a cash stimulus to counteract the impact of the second wave lockdown measures. Cedar Woods Properties wants the Andrews government to introduce a grant for new home buyers similar to the $20,000 building bonus grant introduced by the West Australian government in June. So they want to have the same extra money spent onto the industry as Western Australia. And I don't know if Victoria's doing any better than Queensland. How much date does that state have? It's future generations now. Future work that they have to do one way or another. Even if you're an MMT proponent, we still have to work for it. We'd like to see some Victorian state-based additional stimulus, as we've seen in Perth, said Cedar Woods State Manager Lloyd Collins. I think there's a good cause for it. We would certainly like to see it. The construction industry in Victoria is very important and has lots of knock-on effects for the wider economy. Or what you could do, Lloyd, you could find ways to get your product even cheaper and more competitive than the other people, so you wouldn't need that grant. You could just say, okay, we've found $20,000 in savings on all of our range. We're pushing that out now. Cedar Wood exclusive discount to help stimulate the economy. Maybe we should advocate for some changes to construction standards to reduce some of the more onerous requirements that we need to have. Let's get rid of energy rating reports on every house right now. That's, $1,000 to $2,000 saving, maybe even less. $600. Get rid of the installation. If people want to put it in, they can pay extra and do it on their own time. Sure, it's going to be a little bit colder. Sure, they may use a little bit extra electricity, but that's good because the Victorians want you to feel the sting of electricity to justify all their investments in wind turbines. There's the thing. There's a lot of legislation now that exists in housing that inflates the cost. All these little things add up. They add up and people don't realize it. If you look at the embodied energy to produce insulation, the cost of putting it in the cost of buying it, then the payback period. It's like 50 years. 50 years, guys. In June, the company, with 34 projects in progress or in the pipeline, reported a 200% increase in inquiries in Western Australia, 100% rise respectively in Queensland and South Australia, but a decrease in Victoria. A Victorian government spokesperson wouldn't be drawn on the question of cash bonuses for home buyers. Should be called cash handouts. But still, there were already funding packages for the industry and substantial incentives for first home buyers. And just think of all of these fees that you're paying to the state, one way or another. This is the type of stuff that they spend it on. Are you happy with that? Do you think that might have something to do with inflating property prices? And they're fighting a losing battle. They're chucking everything they can at it. I mean, that's the only game. It always comes back to property in Australia, isn't it? It's the only game in town. The Victorian government is already backing the building and construction industry with our Building Works program, getting shovels in the ground on thousands of projects, and our dedicated task force to keep the building and development industry running through the crisis. The Building Victoria Recovery Task Force, he said. We also offer significant first home grants and stamp duty concessions, including for young Victorians wanting to buy their first home, where we have abolished stamp duty altogether on first homes valued under $600,000 with concessions for homes up to $750,000. Oh, that's nice. So they're reducing the tax burden on you, which frankly is a good thing. We need to see more of that. And just, maybe start cutting some of those non-essential services that you're providing. And I'm sure you can find a lot of them. Despite lockdown laws presenting obvious hurdles, along with other developers, Cedar Woods is pushing ahead with its Melbourne projects, including 130 new apartments at Jackson Creek in Carlton. So they've probably got the economic loss fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy, that's it, the sunk cost fallacy. Or they've gone too far in that it would cost more to halt the project and to mothball it than to just push ahead. The loss may be less. Willow, an upscale apartment project in Brighton, launched at the beginning of July, just days before the second wave lockdown restrictions were announced. Romy Jackson, development manager at Samuel Property, said there was never any question of the Brighton complex being put on hold. When all the pandemic stuff hit, we pretty quickly decided that we couldn't afford to pause or stop or slow down in any way with anything we were doing. So we just stuck to all of the plans we had in place, he said. We had to change up things a bit with the pandemic, and it was definitely a bit trickier at the beginning when everyone was adapting at home. But the engagement online has been massive, and we've received 2 to 3 inquiries each day. It's also business as usual for Icon Developments, with construction set to start next month on Inkerman and Nelson, a 26 townhouse or townhome project in Balaclava. Scott Yarzika, commercial director, said the pandemic had driven the company to be more flexible and innovative with how they interacted with customers. We've had to be nimble and flexible with how our agents show the space, but our display suite is still open by appointment and active on site, so that's been helpful, he said. We've had a number of sales, even at the beginning of the month, so we're over 75% sold and we're confident we'll sell out. Elsewhere, fears of further lockdowns in Sydney were starting to take their toll. Alum Homes spokesman Rodney Smith said, while sales had remained strong, the possibility of another lockdown couldn't be ignored. At this stage, there are no identified impacts on our operations in Sydney, although there is an increasing awareness that a second lockdown may happen, and this is starting to affect the confidence in the market. The developer and builder with estates across Sydney and Central Coast, Hunter Valley and South Coast saw a bounce back in sales in June after a slowdown in March and April, said Smith. Sydney-based luxury apartment developer Crown Group will launch its first Brisbane development in September 2021 and is preparing for buyers to check it out either in person or online. Give us time to respond to market movements and any further changes in restrictions, said Crown Group's Queensland Development Director Trent McLaughlin. The 1.25 hectare West End development will include a mix of terrace homes and apartments and a range of facilities, including a 25-meter pool, gym, community room, and space for yoga. Now, West End, South Brisbane has huge amounts of stock on the market. You've got developers offering to pay mortgages for a year, or really discounting their properties 4 to 6% to shift them. I drive through there once a week. I have a look. I used to have an office there now, a few years ago. We drive through there all the time. The amount of apartment stock that has gone up is insane. You're not going to be special buying there. You are not going to be a special little snowflake with a unit that looks like everyone else. We're confident that buyers will be very receptive to new product on the market and that they will flock in or to visit our display or be able to enjoy online interactive property tours and 360-degree videos, he said. Well, what do you think? I mean, one advantage Brisbane will have over Sydney and Melbourne is that compared to the anchor prices people may be forced to sell in Sydney or Melbourne, we will still seem more competitive, more affordable. The median house prices, and I'm going to look this up, the property data room, because I think yesterday in a video I was comparing two things, and I suspect I've been told the property data room is the average, not the median in property prices. We'll have a look, but we'll see what the either average or median is in residential units in Brisbane, and we'll just compare it. Once it loads up, we'll compare it to Sydney and Melbourne to get an appreciation of the difference. So that could be one advantage we have. So people are used to much higher prices, and then can they move interstate? Perhaps they can now, because we have a world where people are used to working remotely. You'll love my internet that I'm paying extra for. So this is the median, it's not the average. So the median residential unit value in Sydney is 710. When we look at Brisbane, it's 390, and this is data from April. So you can see it there. Median house value, Sydney is 930, where Brisbane is 540. So maybe we'll take a hit, or maybe people will be forced to sell in Sydney and might be able to relocate up to Brisbane. We'll have to see. What do you think, everyone? Do you think the developers should be getting handouts? Because that's essentially what it is. Or would you rather the market be left to its own devices and, well, see what happens? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. I'll see you in the next episode.